Welcome to part 2 of The Healed Heal, Elevated Consciousness and Quantum Leadership. If you haven't watched part 1, I encourage you to start there as we build on the foundations of divine resonance, shepherding over resistance, and the parenting paradigm for consciousness elevation. In this continuation, we explore how observation without emotion serves both the observer and observed, how behavior mirrors our own spiritual curriculum, and the quantum analysis process that enables divine co-creation from present alignment with the Most High. Chapter 5. Observation without emotion. Observe without emotion, with judgment of behavior, not the individual, because the behavior observed reflects the curriculum of the observer. This profound principle reveals how consciousness interaction serves mutual spiritual development. From our exploration of spiritual curriculum, every experience serves consciousness development through divine orchestration. When we encounter lower frequency behavior, it reflects something in our own curriculum requiring attention and integration. If we react emotionally to specific behaviors, those reactions reveal unhealed areas within our own consciousness. The triggering occurs because some aspect of observed behavior resonates with unresolved issues, unacknowledged shadows, or incomplete healing within our own awareness. Yeshua modeled this perfectly. He could observe prostitutes, tax collectors, religious hypocrites, and political authorities without emotional reactivity, because his consciousness maintained complete divine alignment. His observations led to appropriate responses, sometimes gentle, sometimes confrontational, but never emotionally reactive. The distinction between judging behavior and judging individuals proves crucial. Behaviors can be assessed as aligned or misaligned with divine principles without condemning the consciousness expressing those behaviors. The individual remains a beloved expression of divine consciousness at a particular developmental stage, even when their behavior requires correction or boundaries. From quantum consciousness understanding, every observation serves as mutual curriculum. The observer's consciousness is affected by what it observes, creating opportunities for both elevation of lower consciousness and refinement of higher consciousness through the interaction. Chapter 6. The mirror of curriculum. The behavior observed reflects the curriculum of the observer. This insight transforms how we understand consciousness interactions from one-directional teaching to mutual spiritual development opportunities. When specific behaviors trigger emotional reactions, we gain diagnostic information about our own consciousness state. Perfect divine alignment observes all behavior with loving awareness rather than reactive emotion. Emotional triggering signals areas where our consciousness hasn't achieved complete healing or alignment. A consciousness that reacts with anger to others' anger reveals unhealed anger patterns within itself. A consciousness triggered by others' dishonesty signals unexamined dishonesty in its own awareness. A consciousness disturbed by others' spiritual immaturity reveals insecurity about its own spiritual development. This doesn't mean all observation of misaligned behavior reflects observer problems. Higher consciousness can accurately discern behavior misalignment while maintaining loving awareness. The key distinction: observation with clarity versus reaction with emotion. From our understanding of the invariant set and divine consciousness as unchanging foundation, consciousness perfectly aligned with Source can observe all behavior variations without emotional disturbance. Like God observing human choices with perfect love and clear discernment, higher consciousness can assess behavior accurately while maintaining compassionate awareness. The practical application means using triggered reactions as spiritual curriculum rather than justification for condemning observed behavior. When we feel emotionally reactive, we pause to ask, what does this reaction reveal about my own consciousness that requires divine attention? This transforms every challenging interaction into opportunity for personal spiritual development. Paul demonstrates this self-examination. Examine yourselves, whether ye be in the faith, prove your own selves, 2 Corinthians 13:5. Rather than focusing exclusively on others' spiritual state, mature consciousness uses all interactions as mirrors, revealing areas requiring continued alignment with divine principles. Chapter 7. Seasonal Revelation and Signs. And the revelation of the higher from the lower distinguishes the new season. And God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven, to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days and years." Genesis 1:14. In the Bible, celestial bodies serve as signs for several purposes: marking time and seasons, symbolizing God's divine guidance and promises, the Star of Bethlehem, declaring God's glory, Psalm 19:1, and as apocalyptic signs of major divine events. While stars provide universally understood timekeeping, they also point to God's power and feature in prophetic visions of significant future events. Similarly, the ability to distinguish higher from lower consciousness marks seasonal transitions in spiritual development. Recognition itself demonstrates consciousness elevation that enables serving as guide rather than remaining peer. When consciousness achieves sufficient divine alignment to observe frequency differences without judgment, it enters new seasonal operation. This doesn't mean superiority, but developmental readiness for shepherding responsibilities. Like celestial bodies marking time transitions, consciousness recognition of frequency variations signals readiness for mature spiritual function. From our understanding of dimensional consciousness evolution, each dimensional transition involves recognizing previously invisible patterns. Third-dimensional consciousness cannot perceive fourth-dimensional operations. But as consciousness elevates, it gains awareness of higher dimensional principles while maintaining compassion for consciousness still operating at previous dimensional awareness. This seasonal recognition enables appropriate response to various consciousness frequencies. Higher consciousness can engage lower consciousness at its current level while holding vision for its potential elevation. This mirrors how mature parents engage children at their developmental stage while encouraging growth toward maturity. The Star of Bethlehem demonstrates how celestial signs reveal divine purposes and timing. Similarly, consciousness, gaining ability to distinguish frequency variations, receives divine revelation about timing and purposes for shepherding responsibilities. Recognition signals both capability and divine assignment for guiding others toward consciousness elevation. Chapter 8. Quantum Analysis and Co-Creation. From the present, inhale, imagine the outcome. Affirm or adjust. From the outcome, exhale, faith in the process. Return to present. Align with peace and release what does not resonate. This quantum analysis process integrates our understanding of consciousness as creative force with practical decision-making and consciousness shepherding. It provides the mechanism for responding to lower consciousness encounters with divine wisdom rather than human reactivity. The complete quantum analysis process. Inhale immediate presence. Begin by grounding consciousness in present moment awareness through divine breath. This establishes connection with the invariant set, unchanging divine consciousness as foundation for analysis and response. Imagine outcome. From present divine alignment, consciousness projects potential outcomes of various response options. This isn't anxious future focus, but quantum exploration of probability fields accessible through divine connection. Affirm or adjust. Assess imagined outcomes for alignment with divine principles and purposes. If outcomes resonate with loving awareness and kingdom advancement, affirm the response direction. If outcomes create dissonance, adjust approach until resonance emerges. Exhale faith in process. Release attachment to outcomes by exhaling faith that divine orchestration governs the entire interaction. This prevents trying to control consciousness elevation through human manipulation while trusting divine timing and methods. Return to present. Bring consciousness fully back to immediate presence, rather than dwelling in imagined futures or past patterns. Present moment contains the only actual creative power and divine guidance access point. Align with peace. Assess internal state for the peace that surpasses understanding. Philippians 4:7, that signals divine alignment. Peace indicates resonance with divine will. Anxiety or agitation signals misalignment, requiring recalibration. Release non-resonance. Let go of any responses, expectations, or attachments that don't resonate with divine peace. This creates space for truly aligned responses to emerge through divine guidance rather than human strategizing. End of Part 2. This concludes Part 2 of The Healed Heal, Elevated Consciousness and Quantum Leadership. We've explored the mirror of curriculum, seasonal revelation through celestial signs, and the quantum analysis process that enables co-creation through present divine alignment. In Part 3, we'll complete this exploration by examining multidimensional awareness through peace, consciousness transmutation, and practical applications across individual, community, regional, and global dimensions. If this message is serving your spiritual development, please like, subscribe, and share. Continue to Part 3 to discover how maintaining immediate presence with loving awareness results in the peace that enables multidimensional consciousness and transformational shepherding at every scale.